Hello everyone. Welcome to UPSC CSE Notes. We are providing free competitive notes. Be active, deep focus. Let's start. Class 10 Ncert Economics Chapter 4. Globalization and the Indian Economy. Production across countries. Trade was the main channel connecting distant countries. Large companies, which are now called multinational corporations, MNCs, play a major role in trade. An MNC is a company that owns or controls production in more than one nation. MNCs set up offices and factories for production in regions where they can get cheap labor and other resources, so that the company can earn greater profits. Interlinking production across countries. The money that is spent to buy assets such as land, building, machines and other equipment is called investment. An investment made by MNCs is called foreign investment. MNCs are exerting a strong influence on production at these distant locations. As a result, production in these widely dispersed locations is getting interlinked. There are a variety of ways, as mentioned below, in which MNCs are spreading their production and interacting with local producers in various countries across the globe. 1. By setting up partnerships with local companies. 2. By using the local companies for supplies. 3. By closely competing with the local companies or buying them up. MNCs set up production jointly with local companies, which benefits local companies in the following ways. 1. First, MNCs can provide money for additional investments, like buying new machines for faster production. 2. Second, MNCs might bring with them the latest technology for production. Foreign trade and integration of markets. Foreign trade creates an opportunity for the producers to reach beyond the domestic markets. Producers can sell their products not only in markets located within the country, but can also compete in markets located in other countries of the world. Similarly, buyers have the options to choose among various goods beyond domestically produced goods. Thus, foreign trade results in connecting the markets or integration of markets in different countries. What is globalization? Globalization is the process of rapid integration or interconnection of countries. MNCs are playing a major role in the globalization process. More and more goods and services, investments and technology are moving between countries. There is one more way in which the countries can be connected. This is through the movement of people between countries. Factors that have enabled globalization: technology. Rapid improvement in technology has been one major factor that has stimulated the globalization process. This has made possible much faster delivery of goods across long distances at lower costs. The developments in information and communication technology have made information instantly accessible. Liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Trade barriers are some restrictions that have been set up by governments. The government can use trade barriers to increase or decrease, regulate, foreign trade, and to decide what kinds of goods and how much of each should come into the country. Tax on imports is an example of trade barrier. Removing barriers or restrictions set by the government on trade is known as liberalization. When the government imposes less restrictions than before, it is said to be more liberal. World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization, WTO, is an organization whose aim is to liberalize international trade. At present, 164 countries of the world are currently members of the WTO. It has established rules for developed countries regarding international trade, so that these countries can allow free trade for all. Impact of globalization in India. Globalization has impacted the lives of people in India in the following manner. 1. It has provided greater choices to consumers, who now enjoy improved quality, often lower prices on several products. 2. It has resulted in higher standards of living. Globalization has also created new opportunities for companies providing services, particularly in the IT sector. The struggle for a fair globalization. Fair globalization creates opportunities for all and also ensures that the benefits of globalization are shared better. The government can play a major role in making this possible. Some of the steps that the government take are: 1. It can ensure that labor laws are properly implemented and the workers get their rights. 2. It can support small producers to improve their performance. 3. If necessary, the government can use trade and investment barriers. 4. It can negotiate at the WTO for fairer rules. 5. It can also align with other developing countries with similar interests to fight against the domination of developed countries in the WTO. 6. Exercises. 7. 1. What do you understand by globalization? Explain in your own words. Answer. Globalization means integrating the economy of a country with the economies of other countries. Under conditions of free flow of trade, capital and movement of persons across borders. It includes 1. Increase in foreign trade. 2. Export and import of techniques of production. 3. Flow of capital and finance from one country to another. 4. Migration of people from one country to another. 2. What was the reason for putting barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment by the Indian government? Why did it wish to remove these barriers? Answer. The Indian government had put barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment to protect domestic producers from foreign competition, especially when industries had just begun to come up in the 1950s and 1960s. At this time, competition from imports would have been a death blow to growing industries. Hence, India allowed imports of only essential goods. In new economic policy in 1991, the government wished to remove these barriers because it felt that domestic producers were ready to compete with foreign industries. It felt that foreign competition would in fact improve the quality of goods produced by Indian industries. This decision was also supported by powerful international organizations. 3. How would flexibility in labor laws help companies? Answer. Flexibility in labor laws will help companies in being competitive and progressive. By easing up on labor laws, company heads can negotiate wages and terminate employment, depending on market conditions. This will lead to an increase in the company's competitiveness. 4. What are the various ways in which MNCs set up, or control, production in other countries? Answer. Multinational corporations set up their factories or production units close to markets where they can get desired type of skilled or unskilled labor at low costs along with other factors of production. After ensuring these conditions, MNCs set up production units in the following ways. Jointly with some local companies of the existing country. Buy the local companies and then expand its production with the help of modern technology. They place orders for small producers and sell these products under their own brand name to the customers worldwide. 5. Why do developed countries want developing countries to liberalize their trade and investment? What do you think should the developing countries demand in return? Answer. Developed countries want developing countries to liberalize their trade and investment because then the MNCs belonging to the developed countries can set up factories in less expensive developing nations, and thereby increase profits, with lower manufacturing costs and the same sale price. In my opinion, the developing countries should demand, in return, for some manner of protection of domestic producers against competition from imports. Also, charges should be levied on MNCs looking to set base in developing nations. 6. The impact of globalization has not been uniform. Explain this statement. Answer. The impact of globalization has not been uniform. It has only benefited skilled and professional person in urban, not the unskilled persons. The industrial and service sector has much gained in globalization than in agriculture. Benefited MNCs on domestic producers and the industrial working class. Small producers of goods such as batteries, capacitors, plastics, toys, tires, dairy products and vegetable oil have been hit hard by competition from cheaper imports. 7. How has liberalization of trade and investment policies helped the globalization process? Answer. Liberalization of trade and investment policies has helped the globalization process by making foreign trade and investment easier. Earlier, several developing countries had placed barriers and restrictions on imports and investments from abroad to protect domestic production. However, to improve the quality of domestic goods, these countries have removed the barriers. Thus, liberalization has led to a further spread of globalization because now businesses are allowed to make their own decisions on imports and exports. This has led to a deeper integration of national economies into one conglomerate whole. 8. How does foreign trade lead to integration of markets across countries? Explain with an example. Answer. Foreign trade provides opportunities for both producers and buyers to reach beyond the markets their own countries. Goods travel from one country to another. Competition among producers of various countries as well as buyers prevails. Thus foreign trade leads to integration of markets across countries. For example, during Diwali season, buyers in India have the option of choosing between Indian and Chinese decorative lights and bulbs. So this provides an opportunity to expand business. 9. Globalization will continue in the future. Can you imagine what the world would be like 20 years from now? Give reasons for your answer. Answer. After 20 years, world would undergo a positive change, which will possess the following features: healthy competition, improved productive efficiency, increased volume of output, income and employment, better living standards, greater availability of information and modern technology. Reason for the views given above. These are the favorable factors for globalization. Availability of human resources both quantity-wise and quality-wise. Broad resource and industrial base of major countries. Growing entrepreneurship, growing domestic market. 10. Supposing you find two people arguing, one is saying globalization has hurt our country's development. The other is telling, globalization is helping India develop. How would you respond to these organizations? Answer. Benefits of globalization of India. Increase in the volume of trade in goods and services. Inflow of private foreign capital and export orientation of the economy. Increases volume of output, income and employment. Negative impact, fears of globalization. It may not help in achieving sustainable growth. It may lead to widening of income inequalities among various countries. It may lead to aggravation of income inequalities within countries. Whatever may be the fears of globalization, I feel that it has now become a process which is catching the fancy of more and more nations. Hence we must become ready to accept globalization with grace and also maximize economic gains from the world market. That's it. We are completed Chapter 4. We are working for you to give free education. Stay with us. Learn more easily and free. Work for people and serve the country. Subscribe the channel and like. Jai Hind.